Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And let's talk ministry. At the count of three, let's talk ministry. 1, 2, 3.
Let's talk ministry.
All right. Well, tonight I have an exciting show for you here. We're going to have an amazing young man up here, and his name is Luther Estyl. Please give it up for him. Luther Estyl is going to be up here tonight. And we have another guest. We have also after him, Diana Ortiz is going to be joining us tonight. So it's going to be an exciting night. You guys ready? Yeah. All right. Well, first, a quick story, okay? There was a man, and he wanted to migrate from the United Kingdom to the United States. And this was back in the 1900s. And in those days, they traveled by ship. And what would happen is it would take about 3 months by ship to get from the United Kingdom to the United States. And so they told him it's going to take 3 months. What he did, he found out what it was going to cost. He went out and he found a job. And he started working there. He raised enough money to buy that ticket. And he came, showed up at the counter, and said, 1 ticket to the United States of America. The lady said, well, as she handed him the ticket, she began to explain the details to him. She said, sir, it takes 3 months for you to get to the United States of America from here. So as he was listening to that, he didn't hear the rest of the instructions. He drifted off in his mind, and he started to think to himself, you know what? If it's going to take me 3 months to get to the United States, I probably need to buy some wafers and cookies so that I can have food to eat. Well, he got on he found his money, he got on board, and he invited his friends. He was excited. He got on. He was ready to go to the United States. And every time that the people would now go and have gourmet breakfast, lunch, and dinner, he would retreat back to his cabin, and he would eat what? Wafers and cookies. Well, it turned out that after 2 months, they said, well, this ship was going to take 3 months, but now it's going to take 4 because we've been delayed. At this point, our friend started to realize he was running out of wafers and cookies. And so what he did, he befriended another man. He said, hey, man, is there a way that you can help me? He said, what do you need? He said, well, I tell you what. The man said to him, let's go to lunch together. And our friend responded, I don't have enough money to go to lunch. As a matter of fact, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. And our friend was informed because he said, well, friend, were you not aware that included in the price of your ticket is breakfast, lunch, and gourmet dinner? Our friend was on a ship for 2.5 months without realizing what is included in the price of his ticket. There are a lot of people out here that are living in the wealthiest state in the nation. There are a lot of people out there that are in the most powerful kingdom ever on earth, which is the kingdom of God. There are a lot of people out there who could be wealthy, who could be living a life of salvation, who could be living a life above where they are right now. But because they don't understand what is included in the price of their ticket, a lot of people are out here starving and living beneath their potential. And I hope that that's not you, because we're going to talk to you about investing in yourself tonight. And the young man that I'm going to have up here is one man who we can admire because he has chosen to invest in himself in the self-same way. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Luther Estyl. Luther, such a pleasure to have you, buddy.
Pleasure to be here. Pleasure.
All right.
Glad to be here.
All right, Luther is here, y'all. Ain't he looking sharp? All right. Now, Luther is an amazing guy, and I really am excited to have Luther up here. Today, December 31st, is Luther's birthday. Everybody say happy birthday, Luther. Now, Luther, I know today is exciting. Can you share with our audience what you did today to celebrate your birthday?
So today I did something pretty scary, something way out of my comfort zone. I went skydiving. So
skydiving, give it up for that. That's amazing. How did that feel? Talk to us about how you made that decision and how did you lose that fear to be able to go up there?
It was an impromptu decision. It was something that I guess the idea came to me earlier this month. I was always afraid of heights, and And earlier this month, I'm thinking, okay, what can I do for my birthday that's gonna be like really impactful? Something I can look back and say, wow, like I did this. And I'm in a phase right now where it's like, okay, I don't want to take any trips where I'm in a saving mode, so I don't want to take any crazy trips and go to different places. And say, okay, well, what about skydiving? And I just focus on that, and I try not to tell any friends because they might discourage me not to go. So I booked it, and I said, okay, I'm just gonna wait on that day. And today I actually did it. So
All right, well, exciting. Congratulations to you, Luther.
Thank you.
Now, Luther, you've launched a podcast.
Yes.
Talk to me about what this podcast is doing in terms of adding value to the Haitian community. Talk to me about how that whole thing started for you.
Yes, so I launched a podcast. The name of the podcast is Quorum, and it's for the Haitian community. The goal of the podcast is to empower and educate and inspire young Haitians around the world. And back in 2015, God gave me an idea where he wanted me to serve my community. And I didn't really know how I was going to do that. When I started bouncing the idea to friends, some of them discouraged me, and some of them, laughed at me, saying, I'm not in a position to help. I'm not successful enough. I'm not in a position to help. So I kind of didn't really go with the idea. So I started focusing on myself, but still, it was still bothering me, right? It was bothering every time I wake up. I was like, okay, God told me to help the Haitian community, but I haven't really do anything. So, and beginning of 2019, and God really gave me and say, well, this is the way I want you to go with it, and it's by starting a podcast. So.
Wow, that's incredible. Now, talk to me about a podcast. For those that don't actually understand what that is, what happens with a podcast? Is this a new way of reaching people? How are you doing this?
Yes, so podcast is really, really popular now. It's really, really getting popular, especially in the U.S. It's not as popular in Haiti and the Haitian community, and this is the main reason why I think I wanted to start one in the community. But the podcast is pretty much it's an audio show. It's an audio show that's on demand, where you can listen to it whenever, you can listen wherever, and the interesting thing about it is it's passive, right? You don't have to focus on look at it. It's not a TV show. You're not watching a show. You're listening to it, and it's so passive. You can be at the gym listening to it, and there are different type of interviews where people are interviewing business owners and investors, and you can learn from those people on a personal level. They're sharing their stories and their journeys and how they get started. So I think it's really amazing.
All right. Now, this is exciting. Now, I know that you have had a passion for serving the Haitian community. Talk to me about how you lost the fear to be able to get started. I know that you expressed to me that you were fearful in the beginning. How did you lose that? How did you get past that so that we can help other people who may want to serve their own communities and they're struggling with that?
That's a really, really good question. It's something that I struggle with for a while. I don't know if any of you in the audience is struggling with that as well. Is when you have something inside, God puts something inside of you, and you want to put it out there, but you are fearful. You're thinking about how people are going to react to it. You're thinking about, you comparing yourself to others. So, well, this person is doing it better than me, or you start thinking of all different ways not to get started or not to do it at all. And for me, I think it was just trusting God and knowing that God is enough, even though I'm not enough, but God is enough, and for me to just trust in Him and get started.
All right. Well, that's exciting. That's exciting. Now, there is one thing. I seen that in November, you also overcame another fear of being in front of people and being in front of audiences, and you decided to share with the Haitian youth. And I was there to support that, and I was really proud of what you did. Talk to me about how that came about, and again, how you overcame the fear of going from not even wanting to entertain the idea of speaking to people, let alone standing in front of a group of youth. How did that happen for you?
Well, I do have a personal story. So I was born in Haiti, and I was born in the countryside of Haiti. So it was like really the, I guess, the forgotten part of Haiti, where there's not, there's no electricity, there's no running water, and there's no adequate school. And I grew up always feeling inferior to people. So I had an inferiority complex, and it really shrank me. It really like hold me to where like I couldn't be myself. Right? I'm always comparing myself to others, and it really affected me when I first started my first full-time position here in Orlando. Being the first one in my family to do it, and I was excited as a young guy and coming in, and 3 months in, and I started seeing myself doing the same, comparing myself to my peers. Say, well, this person, went to so and so school. My background, I didn't have that much great educational background because my parents didn't have the means to send me to the best schools in Haiti. So I started comparing myself a lot, and I saw myself shrinking, and it started affecting my performance. And I started, being depressed and not performing at the level I should be performing. And thankfully, I met a guy by the name of CJ Bessa.
That would be me.
That's thank God. And he really helped me understand that I was not a mistake. And the reason why I am in the position I am is because God put me in that position. And I shouldn't feel like I'm inferior to others because God created me with my own uniqueness. He created me with my own capabilities, and I should embrace that and be who I am. So I'm really thankful for that. And since then, really, I've been on a growth journey, and I've been trying to spread that to my community. And this is the main reason why I started the podcast and helping out the kids in the community.
Wow, that's amazing. Give it up for Luther, y'all. That's powerful. Now, eventually, how much of an audience, the Haitian audience, is there to reach? Have you looked at the numbers to see how many people you could impact?
It's pretty huge because Haitians are everywhere around the world, pretty much. So it's mainly in the U.S. and Canada, Brazil, Chile. So Haitians are around the world, and I want to. And one of the reasons why the podcast is not in English, is in Creole, is because of the fact that we Haitians we speak different languages, but the main language that we speak and fully understand is Creole. And what I notice is that like the valuable information that people need to grow, like personal development, investing, business, these informations are not available in Creole. So that creates a language barrier where if someone wants to learn, want to grow or learn, they would have to learn it in a different language where they're not comfortable with. So that's the main reason why.
That sounds exciting. I love that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of potential in there. Now, if all things worked out according to what you desire, in other words, whatever your vision is, if it turned out exactly how you desire it, what would that look like for you? Paint the picture for me. Let me see it. And, of course, for our audience.
Speaking of the podcast or myself?
Podcast, yeah, the podcast and what you're doing with the community.
So I really would want the community to be a lot more, how can I say this? A lot more involved in learning, right? So I want to, because what I noticed in my community, especially on social media, there's a lot of entertainment content out there. And to me, for a person to grow, entertainment is great, but for you to grow, you have to find things that are nourishing your mind. So I really would want, especially the young kids, to really, dive into learning and reading books and listening to podcasts, listening to great mentors, get connected with great mentors to really, keep themselves in trouble, out of trouble.
All right. That sounds exciting. Now talk to me about Vision 2020. What does 2020 look like for Luther? Seeing as how you've gotten started so far, I've seen you get up and begin to really run with this vision. What does that future look like?
So 2020, I think one of the biggest things I want to accomplish in 2020 is to have a Quorum conference.
Right.
Where I would invite all the guests that I have on the show to really, have different panels who talk about different things and invite the young Haitian folks to come in and interact with those people and create friendship and create a network.
Right.
That's one thing. Second thing, I would love to write a book. I would love to write a book, and I would love it to be in Creole and English as well, but I would love it to be in Creole and have an audiobook in Creole. That would be the first audiobook in Creole.
Wow.
So
This is a powerful vision. Just give it up for Luther, y'all. That's amazing. Now, Luther, how would people find you if they wanted to listen to your podcast and if they wanted to participate? I see that you have a wonderful flyer out which kind of talks about that, but how would, you want to tell our audience how they can get a hold of you?
absolutely. So if you would like to follow the podcast and leave us a review or give us your feedback, you can go on Apple Podcasts, you can go on Spotify, and you can go on where else we are on Google Podcasts as well. So,
All right. Well, that sounds exciting. Luther, I would like you to look into that camera and tell any people out there, you can even do it in Creole a little bit, for the people that you would like to follow this podcast, something that can help to excite them, to entice them into joining your ministry.
Definitely. So, tout le monde qui attendait là, et non pas me saluter, so pas oublier, allez suivre Corim Podcast là, son podcast qui là qui pour éduquer et encourager tout jeune qui t'a voulu faire un bagage dans la vie. So, allez inviter tous les amis pour nous capables avancer ensemble, okay?
All right. I don't know what he said, but did that sound interesting, y'all? All right. Give it up for Luther. We're going to be back. And when we come back, we're going to have Miss Diana Ortiz. So thank you guys. Stay right where you are. We'll be right back. All right.